All right, we can't get Jeff Grant, but one of those who has opposed to the Alliance sale, which I think is going to go online at 11 o'clock, so we're not very far away from it, is Farmer Dave Clark, one of those who has been petitioning against, it has to be said, the sale of, 65% of Alliance to Dawn Meats, and he joins us now. Dave, thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate your time.
Good morning, Michael. How are you this morning?
Good, mate. Where are you based in the country?
So we're in mid-Canterbury, inland from Ashburton up towards Mount Somers.
Okay, and the big meeting is at 11 o'clock this morning. Is that going to be of all of you? Is it the shareholders of the Alliance?
There is a special general meeting. We've cast our vote. I'm not going to be attending the meeting, but watching with interest to see what collectively all of the shareholders have decided.
So when did the shareholders of the Alliance cast their votes? Was it a physical or an online vote? Was there sometime?
It was online, and I think there's provision to vote at the special general meeting if you're in attendance. But the online vote's been going for about 3 weeks and closed at 11 o'clock today.
All right. Now, okay. Oh, I see. And then what? They'll announce it immediately at the meeting, will they?
No, I understand that there's a process to go through for those votes to all be counted and probably recounted given the importance of the vote, and that's being announced tomorrow, so I believe.
Yes, now it's not quite a simple vote, is it? You require, is it 2/3 or 3/4 to agree?
Yes, it's 3/4 of the shareholding has to agree and 50% of the votes cast has to agree, I understand, or vice versa. It is quite a high bar to get over, and so it should be, given the magnitude of the decision.
Okay, so that's 50% of the did you say of the vote? So that's you having one vote. When you talk about
Yes.
75% of the shareholders, are there those in the cooperative who have more shares than others?
So it's a vote based on the number of shares held.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's a weighted shareholding vote. And yeah, I think my understanding is 75% of the total votes must be yes, and 50% of the votes cast must be yes.
This morning I read a social media post in Oamaru, of all places, at which they were urging folk to vote for the proposal on the basis that if the rescue proposal of Jeff Grant and others was to succeed, it must inevitably lead to the closure of freezing works. Is that your understanding?
There's an overcapacity in New Zealand in freezing works and particularly sheep processing capacity. That is as obvious as night follows day. We have sold so much of New Zealand off to offshore investors to plant hill country sheep and beef land in carbon trees to chase the folly of zero carbon and carbon credits and all the rest of it. We've lost a lot of sheepmen numbers out of New Zealand, so therefore we don't need as many sheep processing plants.
So how many does the Alliance group control?
Look, off the top of my head, I don't have that with me, but there's an overcapacity across all the companies. This is not just an Alliance problem.
So are you saying that whether or not Europe's Dawn Meats proposal was accepted or the alternative that's been put forward by Jeff Grant and others, there would still be freezing work closures imminent throughout the country?
Absolutely. I mean, they've got to close. As I said, we've planted land that otherwise had breeding ewes on it in pine trees. And overseas corporates have come and bought our land, and they've chased the sheep off and killed them and planted it in pine trees and locked it up. There's no more revenue for New Zealand off that land. And the knock-on consequence of this is we've got to close freezing works and make all those people redundant. The politicians were told this. This is the reality for New Zealand. We've sold that land off, planted in pine trees.
So in a place like Oamaru, for example, which has a freezing works on the outskirts called Pukuri, which has hundreds of jobs, that's going to be devastating for their local economy should that close.
I doubt Pukuri will close because that's the last remaining Alliance works in Canterbury. So I don't think that'll close. But look, the fine folk of Oamaru and settlers just need to hop in their car and go and have a drive out into their hill country and see those pine trees that are a foot or 2 feet high across swathes of hill country. This is the consequences of it. This is the consequences of chasing this folly of carbon zero and allowing IKEA and various oil companies and various other investors to come in and plunder our ETS and plant our ground. There's no shearers required. There's no fences required. There's no shepherds required. There's no freezing workers required. And it is what it is. It was dumb policy.
Okay. Now, the Alliance has had a spotty recent history, but
Yep.
they've sort of taken this Dawn Meats investment proposal and clutched it like a drowning man. The Dawn Meats intend investing money from overseas into New Zealand to acquire 65% of the shares. Why are you opposed to that?
Because it's a fire sale. Spotty history for Alliance is very kind. It was incompetent management and governance. It's driven the company into the ground. And the proposal is for us to essentially give it away. The erosion of shareholder capital out of this deal is appalling. Maybe it is what it is. Maybe this is.
So
where
is
we're
your
at.
argument then that it's undervaluing the Alliance's assets rather than its overseas capital?
It's undervaluing the assets, and it's not a true partnership. It's not a 50-50. I would be less opposed to it if it had been a 50-50 joint venture, but that's not the proposal that's on the table. It's 65%, and there's a return of capital through something that I'd view as a bribe of $40 million back to shareholders if we agree to it. Look, if it had been a 50-50 sale and no bribe, I might have been happy enough, but 65% and some mechanism where we supposedly get some money back didn't sit well with me, but it grossly undervalues the business, and it's a loss of control. So for those reasons, we were opposed to the sale, and it was negotiated at a time when the land price was quite low. There's been a significant lift in land returns, which has arguably meant the sheep meat industry is in a better place. And there's been a big turnaround in the company. There's been 1,000 jobs shed, and there's been $100 million saved, which has turned the company from losing $80 million a year to making a profit of $20 million a year. And there's tax losses available of $191 million sitting in the books, which all starts to make 65% of the company at $250 million look like a pretty cheap company.
Okay. Does it matter at the end of the day, though, who owns the company? Surely it's the price that farmers get paid for their stock that matters to farmers.
Yes, in the purest form, yes, that is correct. However, the shareholders are here to make a profit. Up until now, we've been the shareholders, so any profit the company makes is returned to us. Now, 65% of the company is going to be owned by somebody else, and the duty of those directors will be to maximise the profits for those shareholders.
So just let me get this right. You can only own shares in the Alliance if you are a sheep farmer or beef farmer who sells stock to the Alliance?
That's correct, yes.
Right. So you can't sell those shares to me or anybody else. It can only be sold farmer to farmer.
Yes. Now, I'm not sure whether there's a mechanism in the sale that those shares will become tradable, but for a minority shareholding in a meat company, look, they're not exactly going to be the darling of the unlisted market.
Well, that's just the question I was going to ask you. What are your shares worth? I mean, really, in real terms, if you were to sell them on a market, which is pretty limited, obviously, to other people who are Alliance shareholders.
If the vote goes through tomorrow, and look, that's going to be at the will of all the other shareholders, and I'll accept that vote either way. But if it goes through, I would expect that our Alliance shareholder will be worth nothing going forward.
It'd be worth, sorry, how much?
Nothing going forward. Because it'll be
right. So if Dawn Meats take it, your shareholding's worth nothing. But okay, let's talk about the proposal to try and save it, which is what I can understand basically is you're going to go to the bank and ask to get some more money. Well, not you, but the people who are suggesting the proposal to go and make the capital investment that's required in Alliance. Does that just, I mean, that's borrowing money as distinct from Dawn Meat's going to invest some money. Does that put you all at risk as well if it all goes pear-shaped?